Hey guys, we are doing 7-5 notes today. This is going to be a 2-day lesson, and on my notes, I'm going to have a part that separates it for you. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the whole lesson in one video and try instead of trying to split it up. But that way, if you watch it, you'll know where to split it. So we are starting into factoring today. So to do factoring, you have to understand what factoring is. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to warm up by doing the distributive property, which we've been working on. So on this very first example, you're going to distribute the a. So 3a times a is 3a squared. A times 7 is 7a. Next one, you're distributing a negative 2m. So negative 2m times m squared is a negative 2m cubed. Negative 2m times 6m is a negative 12m squared. And a negative 2m times a negative 1 is a positive 2m, because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. And this last little warm-up example, you're distributing 4x cubed y to x squared and negative 2y. But first things first, 4 times no number is 4. If I've got 3 x's here, let me zoom in just a little bit. If I've got 3 x's here and 2 x's here, that means I have, why is it every time I make a video for you guys, my pencil lead breaks? That is x to the 5th. Y times no y is just a regular y. And then you're going to distribute it over here to this negative 2y. So 4 times 2 is 8. X cubed times nothing is x cubed. And y times y is y squared. Here we go. So that is simply distributing. What we're going to be doing today specifically is undistributing. So factoring is separating a polynomial back into a product. So you are taking something that looks like this and saying, hey, what number do 4 and 8 have in common? Well, the largest number they have is a 4. And if I've got 2 a's here and 1 a here, well, they both have an a in common. And then I can divide both of them by 4a to get a plus 2. Which we'll explain how to do that down here, but you're going from here to here today. So what we've been doing is going from here to here. Now we're going backwards, which is so all sorts of exciting. But there are some polynomials that cannot be factored. Those are called prime. All right, so there are several factoring methods. The approach depends on the polynomial. We will start by identifying and factoring out the greatest common factor, the GCF of the polynomial. Steps to factoring a GCF is to identify your GCF of the polynomial, which means check your coefficients, check the numbers out front. Now you look at your variable. Your variable must be present in all terms to be a greatest common factor. If a variable is present in all terms, take the one with the smallest exponent. That is something that you may want to highlight, make note of, star, underline, do something that says, hey, I'm always going to want the smallest exponent. Then you divide each term by your greatest common factor and leave the remaining factors in parentheses. Check your work by distributing. So examples and directions. Factor each polynomial. Check your work by distributing. If a polynomial cannot be factored, write prime. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at these. You've got 3x and 12. Look at your coefficients. Look at your numbers, 3 and 12. What number do 3 and 12 have in common? The largest number. If you said 3, you would be correct. So your greatest common factor is 3. Now, this term has an x. This term does not. So you cannot divide by a 3x. You can only divide by 3. So we're going to come up here, divide that by 3, and that by 3. I'm going to put a 3 out front. 3x divided by 3 is just 1x, plus 12 divided by 3, that's 4. That's your answer. Your answer is 3 times the quantity, x plus 4. And when it says distribute your work to check your answer, what's 3 times x? 3x. What's 3 times 4? 12. It matches. So number 2, we need our GCF, and I'm going to drag it down a little bit this time. 7 and 7, that should be pretty obvious. It's 7. This one has a y, this one does not. So it is simply 7. Divide both terms by 7. Put your 7 out front of your parentheses. 7y divided by 7 is, 1y. You can put the 1 there if you want. You don't have to. And then 7 divided by 7, 1. Make sure whatever sign is in your parentheses, there we go. Not in, sign is in the middle. You're dragging it down and putting it inside your parentheses. That's really important. So number 3 is where it starts stepping it up a little bit. GCF. You're talking about an 8M and a 36N. Well, your factors of 8 are, 1, 2, 4, and 8. Your factors of 36, there are a lot more factors of 36. So what I start by doing is seeing, does 8 go into 36 evenly? No, it does not. So 8 is not our GCF. I'm going to go to the next lowest factor in 8. And by that, I mean, 8, I just said it. It's 1, 2, 4, and 8, because 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 4 is 8. If I were to do the factors of 36, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, 36. You can list them this way if that makes sense to you, but do you see how both of them have the number 4, and 4 is the largest? That means our GCF is 4. Now, do I have a variable in common? I've got an M here and an N here, so I do not have a variable, so my GCF is just 4. I'm going to divide both of these by 4. So put your 4 on the outside. 8 divided by 4, that's a 2M. And 36 divided by 4 is a 9N. So number 4, you've got 5x and 30. Again, start by your smaller one. Your only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Does 5 go into 30? Yes, it does. That's going to make our lives a lot easier. So our GCF in this one happens to be 5. You've got an x and you've got a y. Well, just go ahead and divide by 5, divide by 5. They're not the same variable. We can't do anything with it. 5x divided by 5 is 1x. 30y divided by 5, 30 divided by 5 is 6. That's a 6y. So these really are not too bad. We're going to get into ones down here in that day 2 portion that are a little more complicated, just because you've got more material, but overall, they're not too bad. So number 5, GCF, you're talking about 6 and 27. Start with your smaller one. Does 6 go into 27 evenly? No, it does not. Your factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. So start going down the list. Does 3 go into 27 evenly? Yes, it does. So our GCF is 3. You've got an a squared and no variables, so our GCF is only 3. So we're going to divide by 3, put our 3 out front. 6a squared divided by 3 is 2a squared. 27 divided by 3, that's 9. Oops, it would help if you could see the problem, huh? Ba-doop. Number 4, 6, we're on 6, good Lord. So GCF, does 4 go into 24? Remember, we start with the smallest. 4 does go into 24, so that's going to make it easy. Now, look at your variables. You've got y squared and y. We have the same variable, but you have different exponents. If you remember, the thing I had you highlight on the front, you deal with the smallest exponent. So of the two, y squared and y is the smallest, so that's what we're going to divide by. So we're going to divide both of these by 4y. We're going to put that 4y out front. 4y squared divided by 4y is singular y. There we go, pencil lead. Because remember, you subtract your exponents, so 2 minus 1 is 1. Minus 24 divided by 4 is 6. If I've got y over y, they end up canceling. So my answer is 4y times the quantity y minus 6. Number 7. I've got 21CD minus 3D. So GCF, which of those numbers is smaller? I'm really hoping you know it's 3. Does 3 go into 21 evenly? Yes. So my GCF is at least 3. Now, I've got CD and D. I've got a D on both terms, so that means I can divide out by a D. So we're going to divide both by 3D, put the 3D in front of our parentheses. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. C divided by nothing is C. D divided by D, those cancel. We move on to our next term. 3 divided by 3 is 1. D divided by D, they cancel. So you have 3D times the quantity 7C minus 1. Oop, sorry, dropped my pencil. Number 8, GCF first. So you've got 14 and 18. Check your smaller term. Does 14 go into 18 evenly? No, the answer is no. So your factors of 14, and again, I'm going to come over here to the side. 14 is 1, 2, 7, and 14. Because again, 1 times 14 is 14, 2 times 7 is 14. Start going backwards down your list. So we already said 14 does not go into 18. Does 7 go into 18 evenly? No, it's not. Does 2? Does 2 go into 18 evenly? Yes, so 2 in this case is my GCF, which is a relatively small one, but that's fine. I've got a GH and a regular H. Well, they both have an H, so my GCF is 2H. I'm going to divide by a 2H on both sides, put it out front of the parentheses. 14 divided by 2 is 7. G divided by nothing is G, and H over H cancels. Minus 18 divided by 2, which is 9. H over H cancels. So 2H times the quantity 7G minus 9. And I think I might be out of pencil lead. Hang on a second. All right, got another pencil. We'll see if this works or not. All right, number 9, GCF. We've got 15A squared B minus 30AB. So start with your smaller number. Does 15 go into 30 evenly? Yes, it does. Makes life easy. 15. Good Lord, I said 15 and I wrote 30. There we go. You've got A squared and A. So which of those is smaller? The A is smaller. Then you've got B and B, which means I'm taking out a B as well. So this one steps it up just a little bit. I'm going to divide both of these by 15AB. And then I'm going to put it out front of my parentheses, 15AB parentheses. 15 divided by 15, that's 1. Do I have to write the 1? No. Can I? Yes. A squared divided by A, subtract your exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1, so that's just A. B over B, those cancel. So you can put that 1A there, or you can just put A there. It is entirely up to you. Bring down the subtraction sign. 30 divided by 15 is 2. A over A cancels. B over B cancels. That's it. So, number 10, 16 and 24. GCF. Go with your smallest one. Does 16 go into 24 evenly? No, it does not. So we're going to come over here again. 16 is 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Because 1 times 16 is 16, 2 times 8 is 16, 4 times 4 is 16. Well, you know 16 is not it. Does 8 go into 24 evenly? Yes, it does. So 8's my winner on this particular problem. Then I've got B and B. So I know I'm going to have a B come out. I've got C squared and C. Which of those is smaller? The C. So divide both by an 8BC. Divide by 8BC. Put that 8BC out front. 16 divided by 8 is 2. B over B, they cancel. C squared over C. Subtract your exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1, so 2C. Bring down that plus sign. 24 divided by 8 is 3. B over B cancels. C over C cancels. And there you go. All right, 11. GCF. I have no numbers on this one. Did you notice that? I've got a 1 and a 1. So no numbers are going to make a difference on this one. So now you're just looking at your variables. I've got an A, B, and an A. Well, they have an A in common. So I'm going to divide both sides by an A, put my A out front. AB divided by A is just B, because our A's cancel. Minus A divided by A is 1, because, you know, they cancel. So A, parentheses, B minus 1. Number 12, You have no coefficient versus a 3. So our GCF on this one, you've got no number. You've got an x squared and an x. Which of those is smaller? The x. You've got a y and a y, so you're going to drag a y out. So divide both by, no, I don't even know where that 8 came from. Divide both by an xy. Put the put the xy out front. X squared divided by x is x. Y over y cancels. Plus 3 over nothing is 3. X over x cancels. Y over y cancels. So xy times the quantity, x plus 3. Number 13. 13 special. Look at that. You've got a 5 and a 13. Does 5 go into 13 evenly? Well, no, and the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Does 1 go into 13? It does, but it doesn't change the number, and you've got an x here and a y here. So these two terms have nothing in common, and if they have nothing in common and you can't do anything with it, it is prime. We like those, kind of. And number 14, and then I think we are going to stop the video just because this is kind of a long video. So GCF, you've got 18 and 48. Does 18 go into 48 evenly? It does not in the slightest. So 18 is 1, 2, 9, and 18. Those are your only factors of 18. We already said 18 does not go into 48. 9 does not go into 48. 2 does. 2 goes into 48. Okay, get your coat on, please. Sorry. So your GCF is going to have a 2 in it. You've got a squared and a, which means I'm going to drag out an a, b and b, so the b is going to come out. C squared and c cubed, which of those is smaller? The c squared. So I'm going to divide both of these by a 2abc squared. Divide by 2abc, c squared. Put that 2abc, I did it again, c squared out front. 18 divided by 2, 9. A squared over a is a. B over b, those cancel. C squared over c squared, those cancel. Minus 2 divided by 20, 48 divided by 2 is 24. A over a cancels. B over b cancels. C cubed over c squared is just c. So I have 2abc squared times the quantity 9a minus 24c. Oh, hello, you couldn't see that, could you? There we go. And then I'll pick up this with the second half later.